Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's USA Libraries Art Galleries Art Talk. Our featured artist of the week is photographer Cindy Stanfield. Cindy, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Now, to start everything off like we normally do, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Okay, I'm from California. I'm from a big family. I'm the youngest of 8 children. John there is my oldest brother. Um, Growing up, I was very much into science and math and sports. I loved art, but I was terrible at it. I love singing, but even if I tried doing karaoke, my animals run out of the room. I'm very left-brained. So I ended up going into science. And I was on faculty at the University of South Alabama for 26 years. I taught in the Department of Biomedical Sciences. I also was the advisor for those students who wanted to go on into health professions beyond the bachelor's degree. And I've been promoting my left brain to develop all my life. And when I became advisor and I met all these different students and all their different talents, I think it changed me, and for the better. I learned as much from my students as they learned from me. Many of them were very artistic, and it just got me excited about the concept. And so when we moved to some property in Sims. We own 8 acres, and we had pileated woodpeckers build a nest on the property. Those are beautiful woodpeckers if you've ever seen them. They're like the woody woodpeckers with the big crowns. And I just had to take pictures of them. And that was the beginning. I just got addicted, taking pictures of the woodpeckers, feeding their babies. It was just so special. And so my husband really promoted and encouraged me to get into photography. So that's when I bought my first real camera. And that was about 9 years ago, maybe 10. And since then, I've been taking a lot of pictures. I'm slowing down a little bit. I used to take a few thousand pictures a trip. I'm learning to slow that down and be more selective on what I take pictures of. So now it's a few hundred, but I just love it. It's just my life now. Mm-hmm. So now I'm starting to develop more in my right brain. So I'm actually going beyond photography. I've started woodworking now. So I have a lathe. I make bowls and goblets and things. I'm carving with wood. So I got my tetanus shot because I cut myself all the time. And I'm starting to learn sommelier with the help of my neighbor, Mary Rodney. Mm-hmm. And I'm real excited about that as well. And one of my goals is to ultimately combine different talents. So I want to carve some of my pictures. So one of my goals is to take a picture and then carve it into wood and make it 3-dimensional. I'm a long ways from there yet. Also, I've dabbled in haiku, which is a Japanese poetry form. And I want to write haiku with my pictures as well. Do some photography with haiku. So those are some of my future goals. And I figure I hopefully still have about 30 years to develop the right brain. I'm a neuroscientist by training, by the way. That's why I talk about left and right brain.
Are you using the same camera that you bought 9 years ago?
No. I still have that camera. I'm still using the same company, so I use Nikon. And I've got 2 newer cameras that I use. I often will take 2 cameras with me. One with my gigantic lens that weighs like 9 pounds. And then I also have a smaller lens to carry in case I want to take things more close up. Because the large lenses don't work well when you're too close to things.
Where's your, you've taken photos in a lot of places. What's your favorite place to take photos?
Oh, that was the Galapagos. But that's not a place I'm going to go back to very often. I do hope to go back one more time, though. But I love the whale watching because, yes, I like taking pictures of birds. They're convenient wildlife, but I would like to take pictures of much more wildlife. So whale watching in California, I've done a few times, and I haven't gotten any great pictures yet. I was supposed to go to Alaska this past May, but we all know what happened there. It's scheduled for next May, and I hope I make it because, you know, I'll get pictures of whales, hopefully up close from zodiacs. It's a trip with National Geographic, Lindblad, so I'm hoping to get some really good opportunities for whale shots. And dolphins are, I get those quite a bit from Dolphin Island. And I've got some pretty decent dolphin shots, but I'd like to do a lot more. And I'd like to get other wildlife.
So besides, well, in the continental United States, besides Dolphin Island, where would be your favorite place for shooting?
Point Reyes.
Okay.
Point Reyes, for those of you who do not know it, it's in California. It's where there's a lighthouse, and it kind of jetties out into the Pacific Ocean. And whales will pass by there, so that's kind of neat. But also, there's deer all along the mountain as you get there. And there's these special elks. They're called Dule elk, D-U-L-E. Actually, I think it's Thule elks. I'm thinking of Jenny's last name, T-U-L-E. But there's these elks that only live in the California coast. And we see them every time we go there. We know exactly what field to look at now, where there's a herd of them. There's another herd that's a little north of there. I've never gone to that one. But Point Reyes is just absolutely beautiful.
How about on the Panhandle? Those are some of my favorite photos of yours. I can't remember the name of the place, but in Florida, you've taken a lot of shots there, like of the, oh, what do you call those big things with the underwater with the
manatees.
Yeah, the manatees.
Yes.
The eagles and things too. You've taken a lot of great pictures there.
Well, thank you. The manatees was a special trip. I went swimming with the manatees, which was really nice. And then I got some from above water. You know, I don't have a good underwater camera, so the underwater pictures are a little iffy. But yeah, manatees are fun. And we've even seen them up here in Bayou La Batterie, which is on the shore, it's almost directly south of me on the shoreline. And we've seen manatees there. The water's not quite as clear as in Florida, so you don't see them as well, but it's still pretty neat to see. So yeah, those are special. And I hope to go swimming with them again. It's a lot of fun. And they're very gentle. They're not afraid of you, that they don't swim away from you. And we've seen many babies when I was there. It's wonderful.
Where specifically is that in Florida that you see the manatees?
Well, where I saw them, I was actually going to Tampa for a meeting, and I stopped on the way. But they're very much on the west coast of Florida, facing the Gulf. They like warm water. And then they also can be on the east side to the Atlantic, but not as often. And they do come as far north as Mobile, but it's not common. They actually have a specific path they travel down south. There's a specific path they tend to go from the East Coast, very far south on the East Coast, and then come up north.
How about the bald eagles? Where do you?
Well, bald eagles are my favorite subject.
Where do you film?
What's that?
Where do you shoot them? Primarily.
Actually, from my backyard once, yay. Okay. Although they turned out to look like pinpoints on the picture, but because I only had my cell phone with me. But Gulf Shores, which is about an hour from here, it's on the coast, and they have a state park, and there's a bald eagle nest there, and the bald eagles come back to the same nest. Now the female is now on her third male because the males have died from various things, but they tend to stay together for life if they're both alive. So I know when they nest, I know where they nest, and so I'll just go there with my best camera equipment, and this is where I will sit all day just taking pictures of the bald eagles coming in and out of the nest. And when they have the babies, you just wait for the moment for mom or dad to bring food in, because both parents take care of the little ones. So I'm at Gulf Shores many days. I was about to say weekends, but now that I'm retired, I actually avoid going places on weekends. So I go there many times to take pictures of the eagles. And they actually have a second nest also in Gulf Shores, but that nest, it's a lot further of a walk. It's about 2 miles to walk to it. So I can't take all my equipment with me. It just gets a little too heavy. They also have an eagle's nest on Dauphin Island. And last year, they didn't actually have any babies because apparently the male got killed. So a new mate came in, but it was too late for nesting season. But they do use the same nest over and over again, which makes it convenient when you want to go find a bald eagle.
Is Dauphin Island still one island? I know at one point it got divided into two from a hurricane.
It's funny because every time I go to Dauphin Island, it looks different. I go either to I go to the West End, the East End, and then the public beach in the middle are my three favorite spots there. The public beach, every once in a while, it gets connected to what used to be Sand Island. And they still call it Sand Island, but sometimes it's connected to Dauphin Island and it's all one. And sometimes it's not. And then you get these pools of water that often separate the beach into two. And sometimes it's not. It's really interesting because you don't know exactly what you're going to see in terms of the formation of the land. But the shorebirds, the birds, by the way, love COVID-19. They have taken over the beaches. I think they are disappointed we've opened them back up. But there's so many shorebirds right now out on Dauphin Island, and I just love going out there. I see snowy plovers, which are fairly rare, and many other shorebirds. It's a great place to go. I mean, Dauphin Island is world known, or at least nationally known for its birding. And I think it still does have a part broken off on the West End that's no longer connected. I don't walk that far out though, it's several miles.
I notice a lot of your photos with wildlife, you catch them while they're feeding. How do you do that? Which makes it interesting. Like, a hawk or an eagle will be carrying a fish. You often have pictures of birds with whatever they're eating, from small mammals to fish or worms. You catch them feeding, which I think is interesting.
Yes, that's the picture I try to catch. You want them doing something, and catching them eating is really a waiting game. Now, usually I'll go to a pond. One of the best spots to catch things like egrets and herons feeding is the Dauphin Island Airport. They have those marshes there with ponds, and fish are in there, and there is a way to get out, but sometimes the water's too low for them to get out. And you find a bird there and you just wait. And then there's other marsh ponds on Dauphin Island on the West End that one of my favorites to catch are what are called reddish egrets, because reddish egrets and some other egrets. What they do is they try to stir up the water to get the fish moving. And so they do this like dancing. They're like bouncing all around, and you catch them in the funniest poses, and it stirs up fish. And then when they catch the fish, they have to swallow them head first. So what I try to do is catch it when they throw the fish in the air, and then they will open up their beak and catch it again. You know, they have their beak here waiting for the heads to drop in, because they can't have the fins going down backwards, because that would scratch their throat.
Yeah, wow.
And I do have pictures where the beak's open and you can see a fish that's in the air. And those are some of my favorites to catch.
Wow. That's cool.
I actually, when they catch rodents, it's kind of sad. Or, you know, other mammals. I mean, I feed birds at my house. I got a lot of bird feeders, and now hawks hang out here. And I hate when I see feathers. And I know when the hawks are going after the birds, and I try to go out there, and then the hawks don't go after the birds. But, you know, it's nature, but you know, it's sad too. But I still try to take a picture of it if it happens, because it's nature. It's the way life is.
You have a softer heart for mammals than you do fish.
Yes, I used to go fishing. My brother Mike is an animal lover beyond belief. He won't even kill a fly. And I remember he hated when we would go fishing. We used to go camping a lot as kids, and we'd go fishing, and he'd always be upset. I love fishing, but like I have fish in my pond on my property. I used to fish, but I can't anymore because now I feed them, and now, you know, I even have one. One's named Big John.
Oh.
He's a huge bass, about 5 pounds. So I can't fish anymore in my pond.
I remember when we were on our trip in South Dakota, where you had your big camera, and we got a little crowd around us. We were around a plant of some sort, and people started coming around to see what you were taking a picture of. Do you remember what you were taking a picture of at the time?
Either a fly or a bee.
It was a fly. I said a fly.
Insects,
So they
insects
started
are
walking away.
fascinating. If you can get a close-up of insects, they're so fascinating.
I know.
They're very interesting looking. And I don't remember if this was one of those, but we have green flies out here, almost a fluorescent green. They're real bright green. We don't have those in California. So yeah, I'm fascinated by them. So I try to get good close-ups of those. And yeah, people laugh at me when I'm doing it, because I was in Florida trying to take pictures of green flies, and everybody's laughing at me.
Well, do you have like a favorite species or favorite thing to photograph over everything?
Over everything, bald eagles right now are my favorite. I think it has to, you know, they're fairly rare down here. And I get very excited when I see a bald eagle, and I go out a lot to try to find them. And again, I do have the spots where I know they are, but it's even more fun when you see them elsewhere. So they're my favorite, and especially when they have the babies and they're feeding the babies, and that's pretty neat to see. So they're my favorite, but dolphins are close second. It's harder to know when you're going to see a dolphin. But I had a good catch. I think it was May, actually. It was May of this year. I went to Dolphin Island, and they were playing, and they were jumping in the air. They were a little far out, but I still got some decent pictures from shore. And that was pretty special.
What camera did you use to do that? I mean, do you have lenses that go out that far or can get in images that clear? Do you take those with you when you go out?
Yeah. My most commonly used lens is a Tamron 150 to 600, and I almost always have it on 600 power. And I have a Nikon 800, and the lens has image stabilization, because carrying a tripod can become cumbersome. Yeah, there's just so much equipment, and going out in the summertime here, you got to have water.
Mm-hmm.
And I drink a lot of water because my family can contest to. We sweat a lot in our family,
Mm-hmm.
and you get dehydrated really fast. So I don't carry a lot if I can avoid it. Got that, John. But the camera itself with the lens is easily 9 pounds. And that may not seem bad, but when you're sitting there, I say I was there 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
holding it up on my, using my knee every once in a while for some balance, taking pictures of the dolphins. It gets heavy over time.
What's the longest you waited for a picture?
Oh gosh. Easily at the eagle nests, I will wait, all day, 8-10 hours. I won't not take any pictures though. I'll find something to take a picture of while waiting.
Mm-hmm.
That eagle nest, so many people know where it's at. The eagles aren't that afraid of people, so I don't have to be afraid that my taking pictures will scare them away. So I take pictures while waiting of flies and butterflies and whatever else might be around.
Mm-hmm.
Neighbors, goats, and nannies, and their kids.
Yes, I've taken pictures of my neighbors' goats and their donkey, and their donkey loves me, comes up and wants to be petted. Hard to get a picture of him if I take my big lens because he'll come. I don't know if it's a he or she. I think it's a he. Comes right up to me.
It's a she. It's a she. Her name is
She
Pickle.
comes right up to me, so I can't take pictures very well with my big one. But the goats, I need the big one because only one or two of them will get close to me. But yeah, those are obviously the Rodning
Mm-hmm.
lamb, and wonderful that they got the babies, and babies are always fun to get of any species. The baby goats are so fun to watch, and listen to them cry for their moms. I love wildlife. I'm actually right now I'm volunteering at the Environmental Studies Center.
Okay.
And yeah, I haven't taken my camera there yet because I've only been there for a couple of months, but I've been told I can take my camera into the pens with me when I feed. And that's going to be really special. Right now I've been taking pictures with my cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
but I just love animals. Just always have. Wanted to be a veterinarian, but I couldn't handle the injured pets and the euthanasia of pets. And that was not good.
What is the one shot that you have been trying to get and you haven't gotten it yet?
I want to catch a bald eagle grabbing a fish in the water.
Ooh.
I have a juvenile bald eagle doing that. I have a bald eagle that's a few seconds after catching it, but they were early on in my photography and they weren't the clearest of pictures. So I want to get a really clear shot of that. And my trip to Alaska has been rescheduled for this May, so hopefully I should see lots of bald eagles at least. So hopefully one will go fishing for me. But that's the shot I've always wanted.
What got you interested in reflections, but like water reflections?
Okay, so that's one of my favorite type of pictures to take too, is when you get really still water and you got a bird and it's being reflected. Oh, it's just beautiful. That's it. I mean, it's just, I did it once. I was out with my sister Janice, and we were at the Hayward Shoreline in California. Nobody's ever heard of it, but it's a beautiful park. And we saw these black stilts. So they have long legs and they're black and white. Shorebirds, and they just had beautiful reflections. And so I just said, I got to get that. I got to get those reflections in there. And that was it. I mean, they just were so beautiful that now I look for it. I look for reflection shots. And one of my favorites that I got last year, and when I went to California for Christmas, and This was in Novato, California, and I got a white egret flying over a wetlands area. And there's the reflection. You could turn the picture upside down and barely tell which was upside and which was not. And that was pretty special. I love that.
One of my favorite reflections of yours was at the Oakland Zoo on that zoo book you made through Shutterfly. I don't know if it'll show up on this, but you can when you're looking at it, you
Oh,
if you
Yes, the elephant.
if you turn it upside down, or even if you're looking at the whole picture,
Yes.
at first you don't know which is right side up, because actually the reflection has better contrast in it than the actual photo. But yeah,
Yes.
I love that. That's
I got a beaver picture like that too.
oh really?
It was at my neighbor's pond, and it was just a perfect reflection, just like that egret flying. Those
Yeah.
are so neat when you can catch that moment, and they're so rare.
And you know, and I would have thought that clear water would be ideal, but like in that elephant, the water wasn't that clear, but it was still,
mhm.
and so you were able to get a just an ideal uh, reflection picture. Down, boy, down, down.
Jim got her.
Now, do you plan your shoots or are they impulsive?
Mostly impulsive. You plan where you're going to go. You know what you want to see, but you never know what you're going to see. So there's times, so a couple weeks ago, I knew that the skimmers, these are birds that fly over the water and they stick their beak down into the water as they're flying to catch a fish. And they're just skimming the top of the water and they leave a trail behind them. I know they're at Dolphin Island right now. So I've made a couple trips because I knew they were going to be there, and they were. And that was great that they were. Sometimes you know they're going to be there, you go and they're not. So it's hit or miss. But I've never gone away without finding something to take a picture of, even if it was just a fly. And just the trips are enjoyable, especially right now, because I go by myself. So I'm social distancing. I have a mask with me in case anybody wants to come up within 6 feet of me. But it's something you can do during this time. And the pictures that are in the on the show on the Facebook site,
Mm-hmm.
that's a rookery. So I kayak to there, and most times, and I go with somebody when I do that, but most times it's just the two of us out there. Every once in a while you'll have a fishing boat out there as well, but it's just the two of us and all these birds nesting. I mean, hundreds of nests, hundreds of babies. And one time we saw an alligator just waiting under the nest, and you know what it was waiting for. And that was kind of sad, but you know, again, it's nature.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I have to admit, I kind of watched for a while just in case. Yeah, it would have been hard, but at the same time, it's a shot people want to see. Not my brother Mike, but everybody else.
Even outside of the wild, although it's still wildlife, at the zoo, um, if part of the part of scheduling is trying to figure out when like you want to get some action if you can, not just lying around and sleeping. And so a lot of time we'd review the feeding schedules, like with the otters and that, where they really jump to life and everything. And the lions, when they were, when it was getting close to when they would come back in and it was cooling off and they were getting a little more active in that. But timing things when you can. I notice you've done that to try to get your best shots, uh, and when you can. And I'm sure you do that in the wild too. In the wild, uh, you've got an eye that I don't for catching, spotting birds, particularly birds in trees and that, hawks. I could step on one before I know it was there. But how do you develop that besides keen eyesight?
Yeah, Jim always told me when I was a kid I had an eye like a hawk. So I think I've always been observant. It scares my husband when we drive because I'll be driving and I'll say, "Look at that hawk," and he's like, "No, look at the road." But I notice them when I'm driving, and unfortunately, I can't stop and take pictures. I think once you start, you notice the things that stand out, the colors that are going to be in contrast to the environment. And so your brain's tuned to that. It's going to look for that contrast. And when you see that, your eyes go there. And hopefully they're not going to go there when I'm like changing lanes or something. But you're right, it does develop with experience. And when I'm around bird watchers who've been doing this much longer than me, they spot many more birds than I do. So when I go to Dauphin Island in the spring, it's full of bird watchers. And what you do is you look where they're looking and then you can see the bird they're looking at. That's how I started training myself, looking at others.
The weather, do you like study the weather patterns a little bit or get an idea about when it's going to rain? Or, we have such beautiful sunsets here. Do you know how to kind of get an eye for that kind of stuff as well?
Yeah, actually, the best times to take pictures of birds is in the morning or the evening. And so I want to catch the sunrise or sunset as well when I do that, because they are so beautiful most of the time. The birds do not like windy days, so that's not a good time to go out and take pictures. And we have a lot of wind here. The day after a storm is a great time to go take pictures because they blow in to the shore. So often, if it's not closed, I'll try to get to Dauphin Island after a storm, but a lot of times it's flooded, so I don't go. I know I'm missing shots, but I just want to stay out of people's ways. So, but yeah, the weather has a huge impact. I love taking pictures of clouds and the sky because it's so fascinating. When I'm in an airplane, I use my cell phone to take pictures out the window. I try to be kind of sly about it because I don't want passengers thinking I'm weird. But the clouds are so beautiful. And when you get color on them, it's that much more so. So I do a lot of pictures of just the sky. So yeah, night skies. I'm starting to work on that a little bit. I've taken a lot of pictures of the moon. I did get the sun during the eclipse. I had special lenses for that. So all of nature really fascinates me. I also my sister's really big in bonsai trees, and I actually got her started in it, but then I got out of it. Well, I'm starting up again. And, nature's just beautiful in so many ways. And to be able to capture that, I'm not as good as capturing still images of trees and things like that, the plants. I've got a lot of pictures of fungi. They make great pictures, actually. So I got a lot of pictures of those. We get a lot of them here in wet Alabama. So I do expand beyond animals. Animals are just naturally, I don't know, I almost find it easier to take pictures because you don't have the time you have to think of so many things. Whereas the plants, I got to get the perfect lighting and everything. The animal's going to determine whether or not you're going to get the perfect lighting. you can stay in the perfect place and then have the bird fly behind you. Yeah, it doesn't work. So a lot of times it's easier for me to take the moving animal in its place than having to figure out all the specifics to get the perfect lighting for the mushroom, for example.
Do you have any suggestions for someone who wants to do what you do?
Do it. It's so fun. And you don't have to have a fancy camera to start out with. Luckily, my husband is one who likes to spend money on me. So when I got interested in that nest, he insisted I get a good camera. So we did, and a good lens. So we did. He talks me into those things. I willingly agree. But you can get some beautiful pictures with your cell phone. And so I do take pictures with my cell phone. You can't get, the things that are far away very well, but you can get some nice pictures. And share them with your friends. And I'm on a lot of different sites on Facebook where they share photographs, and that's a way to learn. I post once in a while. My ultimate goal, I know it'll never happen, but my ultimate goal is to have a picture get in National Geographic. That would just be so cool. So they have this thing called Your Shot where you can post pictures, and I do, and people comment on the pictures, and sometimes a National Geographic person will comment on it. I haven't even gotten a comment yet, so the chance of getting a picture is very slim. But again, I feel I still got 30 years to work on this, so I'm not giving up.
A local artist,
they shouldn't give up.
Oh, definitely not. We have a local artist, Karen Bullock, who is involved with that and has been in National Geographic. So if you hadn't had a chance to talk with her, you might want to. She's really good too.
Yes. Do you know her, Mary?
Yes, I do. We were in the gallery together, downtown Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, I got connections next door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a good one to have.
Always help.
I mean, Mary Rodney, she's always a real good connection to have.
Yes.
Good thing, right?
And she's honored me. She has taken some of my pictures and created art with Sumier from them, and that is such an honor. Mm-hmm. And I thank you for doing that. It's so exciting.
You just can't pass them up. They're so very, very, very good. One's right behind me.
Right behind you.
Yeah, the green one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the chickadees.
Yeah, we posted the chickadee last week. So if you look at our previous last week's art exhibit, you'll see the chickadee. Mm-hmm. A lot of people like the chickadee.
Yeah.
I didn't know how that happened, but Cindy knew it. Cindy caught it.
Very nice. Okay. Now, what do you consider your greatest achievement in your hobby to date?
Oh, wow. It's hard to say. I feel I've grown a lot, and I don't know if it's so much the pictures, any particular picture that was my greatest achievement, as just that I've grown with the hobby. Again, I was totally left brain growing up, and I just love this other side of me starting to grow. I still can't sing, and karaoke, I do it, but yeah, the dogs don't like it, the cats don't like it, but I make my brothers and sisters put up with it. I'm not able to do certain things. I'm struggling sometimes with some of the art, but I just stick with it. Mm-hmm. So I think that I've learned to do that, just persevere, and hopefully I'll be able to do it someday. So the pictures are coming through well. The woodworking is coming a little more slowly, but I do feel I'm growing a different side of me that I like seeing.
one of your functions that I was very impressed
Internet
with
is dying.
when we went on the whale watching trip, and we had all those hundreds of dolphins, and there was just action all around us. Is I don't know what you call it. Is it like speed burst or something? It's when you can get, you get multiple shots, one right after the other, real fast, and then you can review them and isolate them and pick out the ones that turn out best and have the best clarity and
The
focus,
internet's going
things
bad.
like that. I think that's quite an enhancer when you've got that kind of equipment to be able to do that, especially for action shots. Would you agree?
Yeah, my internet is not working real well,
Oh, okay.
but I know what you were asking about. And yes, that rapid fire, I love using that when I'm doing a bird in action, because you never know what moment the action's gonna be best. So I love taking pictures like that. But that whale watching trip, when I was taking pictures of the dolphins, I kept trying to get close-ups, and that's where I made a mistake. This was when I was still fairly new, and I didn't get very many good dolphin pictures from that. And yet it was just incredible. So I feel I missed the shots. I should have gone for dolphins away from the boat instead of trying to get them right there.
Well, I
They didn't hear any of
noticed,
that.
like when we went to the zoo later, years later or whatever, that you that you made sure that you didn't get too great of a zoom lens because you wouldn't need it there. You're closer to the animals that, like, say at the zoo, so you realized there was no need to haul, for example, a heavy big zoom lens because you wouldn't need it. As far as planning goes, when you're trying to figure out where you're going and the shots you're going to try and get. But yeah, that's interesting critique. Uh, yeah, and I've noticed too that sometimes when you've had an opportunity to get closer, you realize, at least since that whale outing, that it's advantageous to get further away to get the
Yes.
best shot.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes you have to see things from further away to see the whole picture, just to get an idea. 'Cause you can zoom in. And you also have to be worried about scaring the animal. You don't want to change the animal's behavior with yours.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions?
Okay, I think my internet has gone out a few times.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
All right.
probably broke
I
off
have,
a few times. I apologize.
that's okay. I do have one final question before we're done. We are a university at the University of South Alabama, and we have students. And so, what piece of advice can you give our students? Oh, maybe she didn't hear me. Can you
I
hear me?
didn't.
Oh, okay. What piece of advice can you give our students? Yikes, we might have lost her.
Yeah, again, it goes in and out. Sorry.
Okay.
You must live in Sims.
I know, must live in Sims. Okay, can you hear me at this moment? Okay, she's about to go out. So we're going to go ahead and end this because she's about to go out. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We appreciate this. And we will have another art talk coming up. So just stay available and online and follow us at USA Libraries Art Galleries. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye, Cindy. Thank you.
And thank you all for coming.